This is from CBSSports.com. 50 under-the-radar players that could shape the 2024 NFL season. A couple of Browns on this list. So they go Jerome Ford. With Chubb rehabbing from a major knee injury, Ford should once again play a significant role, at least early on, after being thrust into the spotlight as a rookie. Nice movements. 27.5 of his rushes went for 0 or negative yards, highest rate in the league. Ford and Cleveland will hope for more down-to-down consistency this season. And then they also say Martin Emerson. Last 2 years, Emerson has allowed just 45.8% of the passes thrown his direction to be completed. It's the best mark in the NFL. His 50.8 passer rating allowed as the primary defender over that span is 14th. It's ahead of Deshaun Ward and Sauce Gardner and other top corners. Let's start with Emerson. Every time I see him play, it's like, man, this guy's really good. And if he gets a couple of turnovers, makes a couple of splash plays, I think he immediately becomes kind of Pro Bowler. I think he's going to be anyway. I think he's got that type of skill set. Just a splash two or play on national TV away from entering everybody's consciousness.
Yeah, I think that we talked about this when he was coming out of college, and I think it's happened to him again here in the NFL, where not really anybody knew much about Martin Emerson in that class. There wasn't a ton of buzz. The Browns take him in the third round, which is kind of where he was projected, but still a lot of fans and media members were kind of like, I don't know about this. And it was simply because he didn't have those big, flashy, splashy plays that you're talking about, where like he's not, picking off 7 passes and going taking it back to the house because they're not throwing at him. Like that's what happened to him at Mississippi State was they would not throw to that side. They would go to the other side. And so you didn't really know his name because he didn't get a lot of those opportunities. And then I think in this situation, he's not making a ton of interceptions and they are at times not going his way. So yeah, the national media doesn't see it, but he let up 0 touchdowns. And it's like we talk about the Cleveland Browns effect when it comes to rankings in this. I think that happens with Emerson, but I think what really hurts Emerson is that he plays with 2 other really, really good corners. So like at times they don't go his way, especially if somebody's hurt and there's like a backup on the field, they'll try to target that kind of thing. They're like, I'm not going to risk throwing at it at Emerson's side. But, you talk about Greg Newsome, you talk about Denzel Ward, and everybody's like, well, we don't want to talk about the third corner in Cleveland. It's quite frankly, I think he's the number 1 corner in Cleveland, but that's just me. That's a conversation for a different day. But if he could be a little bit more flashy, I think that would help. But in the end, I'll let him fly under the radar and allow no touchdowns. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, I think you're right 100%. If he had a pick 6 against the Cowboys in pseudo prime time with Tom Brady watching this year, I think he'd get a little bit of respect.
So the other one is Jerome Ford. The thing about Ford, and I agree, I've been critical of him, the 27.5 rushes for 0 or negative yards. You got to remember, a lot of those were with the the 4th and 5th tackles. So anytime you're getting a guy, to what will typically happen is there's a defender in the backfield that immediately you have to make miss. And for a younger back, it's a little more difficult to do.
You got to remember, he didn't even have 10 touches his rookie year, so like he did not play a ton until he was thrust into week 2 as the starter for the rest of the year. And I think there was a little bit of a learning curve for him early in some of those situations because I think he got much better as the year went on and he got more touches and got more experience. But as he got more touches and got more experience, you were suddenly on your 4th and 5th tackles. And it was like, for a guy that's not like, he is a very good athlete, but he's not like a freaky level athlete. And so for a guy that's kind of middle of the road when it comes to that, that's not his game. Making people miss right out the gate in the backfield, that's not really what he's at. He's more of a north and south, get downhill, has some good high end speed and can run away for some big gains. But, dancing around and breaking ankles, that's not really his game. And he was put in that spot a lot, like you said. And so I think the boomer bust rate is definitely why he didn't get more respect. But something that I come back to with him that I really like to hang my hat on thinking about what he could do this year is I love what he does when the play breaks down in the pass game and the way he works back to the quarterback as a wide receiver. I come back to the Joe Flacco gets smacked in the face and finds Jerome Ford, and that's because he never gives up on a play and he was working his way back to the quarterback and giving a viable option. So I really think that what we saw towards the tail end of the year was a more all around back and more what you'll see from Jerome Ford going forward.